Did you hear about the new Copperhead 10 from Castle Creations? I bet you did. And I bet that we're going to be a little late to the party on releasing this video because we have so many in queue. But stay tuned for information about the Copperhead 10. Today I would like to talk about the Copperhead 10 from Castle Creations. As you can see, we have it next to the Sidewinder 4 and the Mamba X to give you a size comparison. So it is just slightly longer footprint than the Sidewinder 4. You can see right here how much longer is it? About what we would need to add a sensor port to it because it is a censored offering. But as compared to the Mamba X, it is actually the same footprint, more or less. It's just a hair longer, same width, but it is also, at least without a fan, it is 30 grams lighter than the Mamba X. Now, at this point in the market, for crawling, let's just talk about crawling, would you ever need to install a Mamba X versus the new Copperhead 10? I honestly don't think so. The Mamba X is an 18 FET design. It has a aluminum case on it, a lot of heat sinking, and for crawlers, it is literally just overkill. Now, if you're gonna be rock racing, literally rock racing, if you're going in against the clock, then you probably wanna choose the Mamba X for that. But from this point forwards, if you need censored operation and you don't need something that's super micro for a competition build, I'm gonna say that the Copperhead 10 is going to be your best bet. I currently don't have the sensor harness installed. This one was a beta unit. I did help them beta test. And essentially it would just go in right there. I believe you got to take the case top off to get in there. So I'll show you how to do that real quick. There's 2 tabs there and 2 tabs there. Easy peasy. We peel them open and okay, so it's not easy peasy to do, but there we go. Bam. Then the case top comes off. You can install your sensor wire into it right there. And I have taken off the fan. These do come with fans installed, just like the Mamba X does. I take them off as well because we don't need them in a crawler. As you can see, it would increase the stack height just a little bit. It's the same fan essentially that they do install on the Sidewinder 4. But there you go. You take off the case, you install your sensor wire into that port, you slam it back down, and we are good to go. So, the features, let's compare it to the Mamba X. What does it not have? It doesn't have as high of an amperage rating. Now, Castle doesn't exactly put the ratings up on the internet because there's no standard to ratings. There really is no standard. And so what Hobbywing may call a 400 amp controller, Castle may call a 120 amp controller. But what I can tell you is this is an 18 FET controller, and just like the Sidewinder 4, the Copperhead 10 is a 12 FET controller, and that gives us a really good idea about how much power that it will handle. And to give you something else to compare to, the Micro X is a 6 FET controller. So this is literally twice the power handling of the Micro X. It also has a larger footprint, which means that it has more thermal mass, which means that for any given load, it will take longer to overheat. So if you're doing things like hill climbing, well, I would definitely say you want this over a micro size controller, but you probably aren't going to need the full heft of the Mamba X. Feature-wise though, this does not have the auxiliary wire. That is one of the big differences between the Mamba X and this. It also has less data logging capabilities. It will still data log, it just doesn't have as much. But as far as what you would need in a crawler, it still has the extremely smooth startup. It still has all the tuning that you would need for a crawler. Or really any go-fast rig for that matter, as long as you're not trying to drag race or do off-road racing, real racing, racing to where you're going against the clock, and 5 seconds would be a huge deal, 1 second could be a huge deal, and you will have more brake fade and torque fade when you're using a smaller controller. So again, for rock racing, for real rock racing, I'm going to say that Mamba X is going to be your choice. But for really everything else, if you're just playing around in the yard, something like the Wendigo, something like the Rift that just came out, this is probably going to be sufficient as long as you don't overgear it. And just like any system, you need to pay attention to the gearing of it. Make sure you don't have too fast of a KV on too high of a voltage with too tall of gearing, and you'll be just fine. But going back to the crawling market, this is going to work for just about everything. Now, it does have the Castle whine to it. So if you throw this onto a revolver motor, you are going to get that whine in sensorless mode, of course. Now, While we're talking about the Copperhead tin, I would like to mention that in the future, this year, we actually are working with Castle on an OEM based on the Copperhead tin hardware. We have some hardware changes to it, then we slap our software changes on top of that, which of course will give you a quiet mode, along with some other features that we're not going to quite talk about yet. But just to let you know, if you are looking for this, but maybe you don't need the upgrade now, but maybe you're looking for something quiet in the future, we are going to have our own OEM version later this year that will be, of course, Castle Link compatible. And it won't have an on-off plug, of course, because that's the first thing that I always do is I hack off the on-off plug, just as you can see on the Mamba X, because they fail in crawlers. That's the, that's one of the downsides, is that switches fails. They just fail in crawlers. So I do think that I went over pretty much all the features on these. If there's something that I didn't cover, let me know in the comments, but otherwise, I do think that this is going to be our new favorite controller for most crawlers. We are definitely going to be carrying these on the website. They may not be live yet, but we do have the product on the website right now. So if you're looking for those, then we will be carrying them, along with, of course, many other vendors in this world. They will be carrying them too. So you could probably go to AMain or RPP or even Castle Creations website and pick them up today if we don't carry them in the store. Otherwise, if there are any questions that I did not cover, please leave them down below and I will do my best to get to them. And as always, have a great day.